This is a special edition of News 13 Inside Las Vegas.
Bags full of medications meant for Mountain View Hospital patients allegedly stolen by a nurse. But did he take drugs from more than one hospital? Tonight, police are no closer to finding out, even with the help from hospital pharmacists. Good evening, I'm Ken Hamilton.
And I'm Kathy Rae. Now, in spite of today's setback, Nurse Gary Huff could face even more charges. In fact, this case could go federal. News 13's Kim Sherwood has the newest details from the newsroom right now. Kim.
Yes, Kathy, now the Drug Enforcement Agency is actually joining the team with Metro officers and FBI agents on this case. But tracing all the drugs involved here may take a lot more work.
Pills, packets, and vials of prescription-grade drugs. So many that authorities haven't yet counted them all.
It's hard to tell. We don't have an exact count just because of the sheer numbers.
Undercover Metro Detective John Fallis says police confiscated all of this, 21 evidence bags full of drugs from this man's house. 59-year-old Gary Huff spent the past 3 years as an intensive care nurse at Mountain View Hospital.
When a physician would give an order, he said to give medication when the patient is in pain, the employee could go in, this is what a consultant has shared with me, and ask the patient if they're in pain, and the patient say, no, I'm fine, then he would chart it down as being given, and there's no way to double check that.
Hospital CEO Mark Howard says Huff worked for a number of local hospitals. So did all these prescription drugs come from Mountain View? Metro and FBI investigators were hoping some numbers would help.
Every single one of these drugs has a lot number. It's an indicator to tell authorities which hospital it was assigned to.
But pharmacists brought in could not verify where the drugs were from. They simply don't have all the background. Police will try other avenues to try and trace the drugs. But since they say Huff confessed, the charges of trafficking and possession will stand. And the Drug Enforcement Agency is also investigating, so these charges could go federal.
We're hoping that we can, just because of the sheer amount that we did recover in this case.
Now, investigators from the Nevada Board of Pharmacy tell me that actually hospitals don't necessarily keep the lot numbers, so that's maybe why they didn't have all of them. However, wholesalers and distributors should have that information. Reporting from the newsroom, Kim Sherwood, News 13, inside Las Vegas.
Huff has already been fired. Mountain View Hospital has started an internal investigation now to see if its drug dispensing policies need to be changed at all. But administrators say the regulations are similar to those at most hospitals all across the country.
A former banker accused of crimes connected to Ted Binion's death is off the hook tonight, at least for now. Prosecutors now say they are satisfied that John Joseph's $50,000 bail money came from legitimate funds. The court started asking questions after the IRS started investigating Joseph. Joseph is accused of being linked to a scheme to get Binion to turn over his interest in a Gene sand pit. That was just 2 months before Binion's murder in September 1998.
Tonight, investigators say arson is to blame for a fire that forced some 45 people from their rooms today at the Queen of Hearts Hotel. Luckily, nobody was hurt. Flames erupted around 9 this morning in a third-floor hotel room on 1st and Lewis. You can see the smoke billowing into the air from News 13 Stratacam. More than 50 firefighters responded to the blaze. One room was gutted. Some others sustained some smoke and water damage.
And I ran out. I could see the fire on the 3rd floor. We had little children up on the 3rd floor, but I couldn't get past the 1st floor to the 2nd floor, so I started banging on doors on the 1st floor, trying to get people awake.
Investigators are saying the blaze was deliberately set. Damage is estimated at $175,000.
Some good news tonight for local drivers. Clark County roads may be getting safer. The numbers tell the story. In 1999, there were 193 deaths on local roadways. Compare that with more than 200 for the previous year. Statewide, the numbers overall are down as well. Nevada also saw a 35% decrease in alcohol-related fatal accidents. And there's a new push tonight to keep same-sex marriages out of Nevada.
A statewide coalition started a petition drive just today. The aim to put a proposed constitutional amendment on the November ballot. News 13's Kelly Aquino reports the topic got heated today on local radio airwaves.
You know those fireworks you didn't see on New Year's Eve? Stick around. right here in the Alan Stock Show for the next couple of hours.
A new push to stop gay marriages from ever happening in Nevada is sparking hot debate.
We want to make sure that the institution of marriage is solidified in the state of Nevada. What is so wrong with that? Is there do you have an objection to that?
Do you have an objection to judges making decisions?
Okay. The Coalition for the Protection of Marriage hopes voters will support an initiative just filed in Carson City.
The main goal of the initiative is to simply define in Nevada law by the citizens of this state that a marriage is between a man and a woman.
With this ring.
Nevada law already defines marriage as being between a man and a woman, but the coalition's proposal could make that part of the state constitution. The debate has just begun, and so has the push to gather more than 44,000 signatures. If the coalition succeeds, the proposal goes to voters on this November's ballot.
When it's a matter of law, we really don't understand why they would want to tamper with the state's constitution.
Lee Plotkin says the gay community does not ever expect the current law to change.
We have to identify that there are other motives. When it's a matter of state law, there's no reason to change the Constitution.
But those behind the amendment are lining up support to do exactly that. Kelly Aquino, News 13, inside Las Vegas.
Among some of the state leaders already signing on, North Las Vegas Mayor Mike Montandon, former Congresswoman Barbara Vukanovich, and State Senator Ray Rawson. Voters, however, would have to approve the proposal twice to actually change the Constitution. Meantime, U.S. Senator Harry Reid's campaign has agreed to pay a $3,000 fine from the Federal Election Commission. The commission says the campaign's staff payroll reports were not filled out correctly during Reid's '98 election bid. Now, the problem was not with the money, but with the way it was paid to the workers.
Chilly but pleasant weather outside. News 13 Chief Meteorologist Ted Texter is in the Nextrad Neighborhood Weather Center with your first forecast.
Where it's nice and warm. Thank you very much. It looks like we're going to continue with our cool temperature readings. Our live Stratacam doesn't quite tell the story of how chilly it is outside. In fact, let me show you some numbers just to give you an idea. 40 degrees on the hour at the airport. Pert near freezing by morning. By 7 in the morning down to 34. 50 by noontime and 57 by 4 in the afternoon. More sunshine tomorrow. In fact, a mostly sunny sky in store around these parts. Your full forecast is coming up in only moments. Ken and Kathy.
More local news. Clark County has received $20,000 in vouchers to help get dogs and cats spayed or neutered. The program is sponsored by Clark County Animal Control, the Las Vegas Valley Humane Society, and Animal Foundation International. For more information, call Animal Control at 455-7710.
The Labor Department wants to make home offices safe, so it has created some new rules to make sure that those workspaces meet standards set by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA. Under the new guidelines, the employer is responsible for making sure a home workspace is ergonomically correct. That's with a proper computer, desk, it has a chair, and proper lighting, good ventilation for heating, cooling, and clean air, and emergency equipment and plans. The rules could affect as many as 20 million people. The rules apply for home workspaces only, not the entire house. Well, the votes are tallied. Now some of the guessing begins.
Who do you think will take home a Grammy? We'll have the nominees straight ahead.
And soon you may be able to visit the city by the bay without ever leaving Las Vegas. We'll tell you why.
Plus, Henderson decides whether to move forward with a plan to build a new college.
And should a former NFL player be charged with attempted murder in connection with his unborn fetus? Next, what the judge rules. Those stories and more when this special edition of News 13 comes right back. The father of little Elian Gonzalez of Cuba may soon be reunited with his son. The Clinton administration has asked Cuba to allow Juan Miguel Gonzalez to come to the U.S. Now, that way he can personally escort his son home if immigration officials decide that he should go back to the communist island. Elian has been stuck at the center of a bitter custody battle since being rescued off the coast of Florida on Thanksgiving. Former NFL player Rae Carruth is facing even more trouble tonight. He and 3 others are already facing murder charges for the shooting death of his pregnant girlfriend. Well, now the 4 men are charged with trying to kill Adam's unborn child. North Carolina law has an anti-abortion law on its books. The statute forbids the use of drugs or any instrument to abort a child after 20 weeks of pregnancy. His little son was born 10 weeks prematurely. He is now out of the hospital. Police in Georgia are mourning the murders of two of their own.
This after a man described as a loner allegedly shot them to death. It happened in the small town of Broxton. Investigators say the man shot one officer who came to tow away his mobile home. He's accused of then shooting a second officer who rushed to aid his fallen friend. The man later surrendered to police. He is now charged with 2 felony counts of murder. He was convicted in the death of his newborn son. Now, after serving less than 2 years behind bars, Brian Peterson is a free man. The 21-year-old was released this morning from the Delaware prison, let out early for good behavior. In a written statement, Peterson apologized for his part in the baby's death. Peterson and the child's mother, Amy Grossberg, pleaded guilty to the 1996 death of their newborn found in a trash bin in a motel parking lot. Grossberg is expected to be released in May. A big day in court for 2 of the music world's biggest stars. Jennifer Lopez and Sean Puffy Combs faced a Manhattan grand jury this morning. The jury investigating a shooting at a Times Square club that injured 3 people. Police found a 9mm gun in the car that Lopez and Combs and a bodyguard were in that night. The 2 men were charged with criminal possession of a weapon. Lopez is not facing charges. The man who hit author Stephen King with his van has pleaded guilty to driving to endanger charges. The accident occurred in June. King suffered major leg and back injuries. In a plea agreement, Brian Smith has agreed to a 6-month license suspension and a year of probation. As a condition of probation, he cannot operate any kind of vehicle.
Ken, the lone American held hostage for more than a week on an Indian airliner, is home tonight. Jean Moore arrived in Los Angeles this afternoon. She's a mother of 3 from Bakersfield, where she teaches disabled children. Moore was among the 155 passengers taken hostage Christmas Eve. 1 hostage was killed during that ordeal. The rest were freed New Year's Eve. Well, you see them all over town, but the news is not good tonight for Papa John's Pizza. A federal magistrate has ordered the pizza company to give up its slogan, better ingredients, better pizza. The company has 3 weeks to remove the television ads and 3 months to get the phrase out of its restaurants. The company will also have to pay rival Pizza Hut nearly $500,000 in damages. Papa John's is planning to appeal.
Dozens of people are counting their blessings tonight.
They're feeling pretty lucky to have survived a surprise tornado. The amazing aftermath up next.
And I'm Christine Conley, live at Henderson City Hall, where an important decision was just made about a 4-year college. Find out more coming up next.
Nevada's second largest city may soon be taking some added responsibility in the creation of the state's newest 4-year college.
Tonight, the Henderson City Council is voting on moving ahead with the new school. News 13's Christine Conley is live at Henderson City Hall with the scoop. Christine, what happened?
Kathy, Henderson has been slated as a possible site for the new 4-year college, but before it's built, some research needs to be done, like where will it be put, what degrees will it offer, and how much will it cost. Now, a new study should answer all of that. Henderson's been asked to become a part of the team efforting that study. Tonight, the City Council voted on what their involvement would be. They agreed to be the contracting agent, which means they'll hire the consultant who will gather the information for the study.
We're going to find out what the residents of the state of Nevada think about this college and what direction it ought to take. It's a defining moment for the college.
A new school is the state's response to a booming population. By the year 2010, the number of high school graduates in the state is expected to increase by 134%. Now, right now, Nevada is already home to 2 4-year universities and 4 2-year colleges. Tonight's vote should make a new college a reality very soon. Reporting live from Henderson City Hall, I'm Christine Conley, News 13, inside Las Vegas.
The study is expected to cost $50,000. The city of Henderson will be reimbursed for the consultant, and we'll have much more on this story coming up tonight on News 13 at 11. Kathy.
A sudden storm spawns a devastating tornado. This is what's left of the small western Kentucky town of Owensboro. More than a dozen people were injured when the twister tore through the area without any warning yesterday. The tornado damaged at least 750 homes and 35 businesses. It's also blamed for the destruction in neighboring Indiana. What a mess there.
Sure is.
Yeah, chill in the air here, but otherwise no complaints.
Pretty seasonable overall, I guess. Ted Texter back now with your extended outlook. Ted?
Hi, Ken and Kathy. Temperatures, however, have dropped off a little more than normal for this time of night. That's one of the indicators for shooting for the morning low, or at least one of the things that you can take a look at and say, well, maybe we're going to get a little bit colder tonight, already down to about 40 degrees. And normally we're reaching that temperature at midnight. So we'll see what happens, huh? There's a front moving in, cloud cover that has pretty much passed us on by, at least as far as the satellite picture is concerned, the looks of it. You can see the clouds moving well now to the south and east, on down into Arizona, up into Utah. There is some cool air moving in. Winds are still out of the west, so the bulk of that colder air will move through the nighttime, through the valley, and we'll see a bit of a change through the day tomorrow. However, it's dry air. It should warm up pretty nicely, probably even a little bit warmer than today. The storm system, it's continuing, rather, to move off the coast, on the coast, and just off now into the Atlantic. Some snow where the twisters were last night. Very, very heavy thunderstorms. In fact, about a dozen watch boxes lined up and down that front as it passed through the middle and eastern United States. Snow back behind it, too, from the Great Lakes region, farther northeastward into the Canadian Maritimes, and across the west from the plains all the way westward. Scattered snow showers, but not really enough to do much good as far as moisture in the mountains is concerned. Behind all of this now, very cold air is spilling on it. So in Great Falls, only running about 12 degrees, same in Minneapolis. In Chicago, running 23. So it's real cold stuff spilling into the north and central United States. West breezes blowing here, temperatures at 41 degrees, the barometer at 30.22. So a high barometer, not as high as yesterday, but we're looking pretty good. 52 is the top today. Normally we're at 56. We'll likely make it closer to that through the day tomorrow. 33 is where we started this morning. High pressure through the day tomorrow, still building just to the north. With the front out of here and losing some of its definition and intensity. The moisture is not around, so skies are very clear and air is very dry. So the sunshine we'll have through the day will help to warm it up real nicely. In fact, going up to about 56, 57 degrees. Let's shoot for 57 at McCarran Airport. Summerlin 55 in Boulder City, same reading. Mount Charleston 43. Unfortunately, we don't have enough cold air up in Lee Canyon either to really get any snow going. Low of 33 to 34 degrees tonight, partly cloudy, let's call it, but skies are clearing. Tomorrow, 57 and north wind blowing once that front is well through, and winds come in generally from the northerly direction. Into tomorrow night, still a north wind, but pretty light, low of 33. 7-day planning forecast as we look into the weekend. Temperatures right there where they should be, plus a couple of degrees, 57 to 59, and some clouds to start next week.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Well, they just celebrated their 8-year wedding anniversary. Well, now Jane Fonda and Ted Turner say it's time to spend some time apart. The superstar couple released a statement today about their rocky marriage. The two say they are committed to the long-term success of marriage, but they're at a point where they need some personal time.
Well, you could call it a cat fight. Two popular teen stars will battle it out at the Grammys, and that's not all. See if your faves made the list of nominees coming up. Plus,
the new frontier is about to become the old frontier. We'll tell you about the big plans on the Las Vegas Strip.
Meteorologist Ted Texter holds the seal of approval of the American Meteorological Society.
In Las Vegas, you can walk from New York to Paris in just a matter of minutes. And you may soon be able to add San Francisco to that list.
the owner of the Frontier Hotel and Casino located at the corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Fashion Show Drive wants to bring the city by the bay to the Strip. Tonight, News 13's Mark Martinez has a look at the plans.
It's been 2 years since Kansas businessman Phil Ruffin bought the Frontier Hotel and Casino, bringing an end to the nation's longest labor strike. Now Ruffin wants to tear down the Frontier, which he paid $165 million for, and build a San Francisco-themed property on the site with a price tag of $700 million. He says it has to be done to bring more people to his part of Las Vegas Boulevard.
Well, yeah, the north end of the Strip has to be enlivened.
With all of the new themed mega resorts on the Strip, the Frontier is having trouble bringing in business.
Don't go in. Don't go in.
Because of the fact that there's really nothing to see.
There's nothing to see.
But there will be plenty to see if Phil Ruffin's dream becomes reality. Plans call for replicas of Fisherman's Wharf, Chinatown, Lombard Street, Alcatraz, and of course the world-famous Golden Gate Bridge. The 2,500-room hotel will also feature 10 restaurants, several lounges, and a nightclub. And in the true Las Vegas tradition of out with the old and in with the new, the owner of the Frontier is planning on sending this building out with a bang, an implosion set for the 4th of July. Ruffin still has to secure the financing and the permits to go forward with the project. If it happens, the Frontier's 900 employees will be temporarily laid off while the construction is underway. Mark Martinez, News 13, inside Las Vegas.
Ruffin has also been threatened with a lawsuit by another developer who claims Ruffin stole his idea for his San Francisco-themed resort.
Some of the world's most popular musicians are living La Vida Loca tonight. The 2000 Grammy nominations next on News 13.
Be sure to join us tonight for News 13 at 11. Coming up, a class project at a local middle school is causing controversy tonight. Students were asked to fictionalize a terrorist plot. Tonight, we'll hear from a local family outraged by that assignment. Plus, learning how to make your community safer. It's easier than you might think. We'll tell you how. These stories and much more coming up tonight on News 13 at 11. And just 4 days into the new year, and the Grammy nominations are already out.
As Mark Shearer explains, the popularity of Latin music has once again, it's taken center stage.
Things went smoothly for Carlos Santana as his hit album Supernatural yielded 10 Grammy nominations, more than any other artist. The album that reignited his recording career is contending in the prestigious Album of the Year and Record of the Year categories. No Scrubs by TLC was just one of the tracks from the trio's fan mail CD that garnered them 6 nominations, including Album of the Year. With 5 nods, country music's Asleep at the Wheel. Among the artists with 4 nominations are Backstreet Boys, whose Millennium is up for Album of the Year, the Dixie Chicks, also Album of the Year nominees, Emmylou Harris, Whitney Houston, and Lauryn Hill, whose 5 Grammy-winning CD from 2 years ago is still spinning out award-worthy tracks. The so-called Latin pop explosion, which essentially saw the introduction of established Latin artists to the English-speaking market, was reflected in nominations for Ricky Martin, Jennifer Lopez, Santana, and Mark Anthony.
There's more Latin artists on the scene than ever before, but we're all competing in the pop market.
And in the Best New Artist category, 2 teen queens will battle it out. Britney Spears.
To be nominated. Amazing. So I'm really, really excited.
And Christina Aguilera.
I watch the Grammys every year, any award show going on, you know, and watching my favorite artists and whatnot, and then to be nominated today against some of those artists, Madonna being one of them, I can't believe it.
The Grammys will be handed out in a televised ceremony February 23rd in Los Angeles. Mark Shearer, CNN Entertainment News, New York.
Do you have any favorites at all?
I like the Backstreet Boys, I like the Dixie Chicks, and I was a big fan of Mark Anthony before he crossed over into mainstream music from Latin, so I'm pulling for all of them.
I like pulling my leg. Christine Aguilera. She's great.
I'm serious.
She's great.
Yeah,
she's awesome. She sounds like she's
I like the Dixie.
35 years old.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, that's all for this special edition of News 13.
We'll see you back here tonight at 11.
You would.